Hello, dear friends. Thursday, March 21st, 2024, the first day of spring. First day of spring, and I got snowed out on the back porch, so it's covered in snow. I can't go there. It's around -5 Celsius out there. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. 28 degrees, 29 degrees, something like that. So we are almost finished the review of Thinking Fast and Slow, which is not a good name for this book. This book should be titled something to do with statistics, psychology, and economics. There's a melding of those three topics. And anyway, let's get through this as quick as we can. We only have one more section to go after today. Today we're going to be covering section number, where are we here? I got to find it for you. I'm sorry, I should have been better prepared, but we'll get through it. Don't worry, we'll get through it. And today we are covering section, here we go, section part 4. So after this, we have one more section, part 5, and we'll be done. So today we're going to be on part 4. It's called Choices, okay? Part 4, Choices. And chapter 25, Bernoulli's Errors. So Bernoulli was a famous mathematician, and he came up with the idea of measuring utility. He came up with the idea of measuring why people make choices based on the value they get from those choices. And now the author, Kahneman, came up and found how he could disprove some of Bernoulli's concepts and replace them with what he calls a different type of utility theory. The name escapes me right now, but I will reach it shortly. A prospect theory. Okay, so he comes up with the idea of prospect theory. And if you're interested in statistics or economics, you'll get a kick out of that. And this here is his innovation. It's a asymmetrical chart that describes how people are more risk averse than they are attracted to positive outcomes. I must admit, this is very, very clever. He's thinking in 3D, and this is probably the reason why he won the Nobel Prize in economics, because it's a novel way of looking at the way humans evaluate different choices based on the rewards or the risks that they're taking, the rewards or the punishments, however you want to look at it. And so it's a very excellent chapter, the prospect theory chapter. The ideas between thinking fast and slow kind of fade into the background. I don't know how powerful that theory is, because human behavior is extremely complex, and you have a sliding scale of responses based on fast evaluation and slow evaluation. So I don't give a lot of credence for his fast and slow. That's why I don't think it's a good title for the book. But this prospect theory is, I believe, is very novel and very clever, and obviously very insightful. Okay, so next, chapter 27, the endowment effect, and here you have the indifference curve, which anybody that's taken Economics 101 will recognize that indifference curve, where you can be on one spot in the curve and it's equal to the other spot. And he again brings in, using prospect theory, the exceptions. You have to have a base starting point as a reference point. If you don't have that, then the indifference curve can be disproven, basically. Page 292, behavioral economics. That would have been a good title for the book. Behavioral economics with relation to psychology and statistics. Something like that. I mean, I guess he had to name it something, but I think he could have come up with a much better name for the book, and it would have probably been more compelling. But that's okay. This gets really in depth. It's the guy's life work and all his experiments that they did on asking people questions and evaluating their answers. Page 28, he starts to get into the called bad events. He starts to actually get into the evaluation of morality via fairness. So now you're really getting into some very, very esoteric psychology and how it interfaces with economic choices. NeuroEconomics, page 308. That would have been a good title for the book. NeuroEconomics, right? Very in depth. If you're interested in economics and psychology, this is the book for you. But I can't summarize it because it wouldn't do it justice here. The fourfold pattern and different chances, different paradoxes of how people respond to choices and weighted decisions. All kinds of very, very interesting experiments that he does. Then he gets into the thought of taking a gamble. And you can imagine the amount of applications this would have, where people are choosing to take a risk or not choosing to take a risk, and how it affects their decisions and all that. I bet people that do gambling would love to look at some of this stuff. Chapter 30, rare events, was very important. Another calculating the difference between from zero to possible and from almost certain to certain. Those two extremes are examined in these chapters. And he talks about how perception is affected by how vivid the description of the choices are and how it changes people's choices, even though they can be equal. There's I found a couple of minor mistakes here. There was where was it? There was a spelling mistake that I found on page, it's not important. It was very inconsequential. It's well edited, there's no doubt about that. But if I find it, I'll put it in the description then. It's not serious. But there is a serious error on page 335 when he transposes the two terms in the third paragraph. The terms inferior and dominant are transposed. I don't know why they didn't find that in the editing. That would be very confusing for somebody. So that should be made aware of on page 335. Besides that, it's extremely well edited. There's virtually no errors in it that I could find anyway. But I'll point out that other one. It's just a small, tiny spelling mistake. So let's keep going. Let's get through this here. All these different chapters. Nothing jumped out at me for taking notes, but very interesting. And how are we doing for time? We're okay for time. The reversals and all that kind of stuff. Unjust reversals. And evaluating what people consider to be just and unjust. Frames in reality. And NeuroEconomics. Yeah, that would be a good term as a title for this book. It's very unique. I mean, it's a huge amount of information when you think about it. It's the guy's life work. And that's about it. There's nothing else that jumps out at me. Then we go to part 5, which is called Two Selves. And so we'll start digging into that on the final video. But this one was, just, every once in a while he'll throw in evolution as a reason to be more risk averse than to be attracted to the positive. But you could just as well say that it's the magnificence of God's creation of how complex our minds work, right? And when he runs out of reasons, he often drifts back to evolutionary reasons. And but that can never touch things like morality and fairness, and that fails. But it can be used to, of course, you see a lion, you're going to be more reactive to danger than to a nice, beautiful sunset. Oh, here we go. Page 287 on the second last paragraph. The failure to acknowledge them is as obvious a flaw. It should be written as a flaw, as the counterexamples that I invoked to criticize Bernoulli's theory. It's misspelled as flow. So that was the only spelling mistake I found on in the entire book so far. So there you have it. I hope you're doing well. I'm going to cut this short because I don't want to go on. This is really a painful read for a recreational reader or the layman. It's more a textbook for undergraduate students that are studying statistics, psychology, and economics. So there you have it. If those are your interests, then it's a great book for you. But if it's not, I would just recommend reading Proverbs, and you will get the same spiritual energy from that, or more so than you would from trying to slog through this. A brilliant man, obviously, because he's so insightful on coming up with ways to test human behavior. So there you have it. Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow. NeuroEconomics, a melding of psychology, economics, and statistics. Cheers. Having some tea today. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're able to spend time with people you love. I hope that you're enjoying the wonderful weather wherever you are. We had a snowstorm, a little bit of they call it a snow squall. So not really a snowstorm, but anyway, God bless you. Thank you for watching. I love you very much, and we'll talk to you again soon. Enjoy your day, and have a good one, okay? We'll talk to you later. Take care now. Thanks a lot for watching. God bless you all. Bye-bye.